So Bernie Sanders goes and he says that, yes, even horrible people should not have their rights taken away in a democracy. That's what he said. Okay, so let me tell you why this is one of the easiest ideas to debunk and why this makes absolutely no sense. So when you're a prisoner, of course you have rights taken away from you. You have the First Amendment rights are taken away from you, for example. You can't host a protest in the middle of the night against the warden. You can't just start a newspaper amongst other prisoners talking about how you're going to, stab prison guards. You can't talk about, you can't all of a sudden just say, you can't just in the middle of the night just, I want out of this prison. I want to march. I want to parade. And you can't do that because we limit prisoners' freedom all the time. And so if we actually are really intent on protecting prisoners' constitutional freedom, should they be able to have a Second Amendment right? Should we give them guns too? That's a constitutional right. Should prisoners have firearms? And finally, and of course the Fourth Amendment, should we not be allowed to go into their prison cells? Do we not have, are prison guards not allowed to go and search through their prison cells? The whole idea of prison is the sacrificing of freedom. Prison is the lack of freedom. Prison, you're taken care of. You have 3 meals a day. You have a shower, and you have a bed. But you have no freedom. You get an hour outside, and you have solitary confinement. You go to prison because you do something bad. Everything about prison is being not free. That's why people want to get out of prison. That's why we're happy we don't live in prison. The final thing is this. He says, well, they should not be outside of our democracy. Here's the really interesting, dangerous point. Should they be allowed to run for office then? From prison? Because they make up the majority population in some of these small states and some of these small towns. Should they be able to run for Congress? Run for mayor? You vote themselves out of prison? Can they run for circuit county judge? Why not? Some of these guys were former lawyers for white-collar crimes. Should they be able to do that? Do you see all of a sudden, you're like, wow, maybe we do have prisons for the exact right to limit the freedoms of people that do really bad things. Now, I believe once you're out of prison and you show a track record of atoning for that crime, I think felons should have a process to be able to vote. It's a completely different argument. When you're in prison, you exist in the absence of freedom. By definition, because you're in prison.